Okay, I will call to order the East Bethel Planning Commission.
And I'll call to order the East Bethel City Council. Still looking at me, okay. So, that's a clue, right?
Yeah.
Can we get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we get into the agenda, because I live on Coon Lake Beach, I want to give a personal thanks on behalf of everybody on Coon Lake Beach to the East Bethel firefighters. And we saw firefighters from Oak Grove, St. Francis, Andover, Ham Lake, also at that fire over on Dogwood, and it was a tremendous fire. And we just want to thank them all for doing a great job and protecting life. No one died, so that's the good news. Okay,
Thank you, Kevin. Item 4, proposed concept plan for the redevelopment of the Viking Meadows Golf Course. Viking Meadows is an 18-hole public golf course located at the southeastern section of the Highway 65 Viking Boulevard intersection quadrant. The course was opened in 1984 and has been on the market for several years. This site is 170 acres plus or minus and is zoned with a combination of mixed use, residential 1 and rural residential districts. Centra Homes approached the city in 2021 with an interest in purchasing this property for a residential development, but did not exercise their final option of acquisition. Capstone Homes, a developer of residential communities with headquarters in Ramsey, has signed a purchase agreement for this property and is proposing a residential development of up to 400 units at this location. Staff has met with Capstone representatives and they intend on seeking approvals necessary for the development of this property. Their schedule proposes to begin site work in January or February of 2024. This will be a privately financed project and Capstone is not requesting any TIF or any other form of assistance from the city. Capstone has requested a special meeting to brief the Planning Commission and City Council on the project in order to prepare and complete an official concept plan application for approval at the June 27th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting and the July 11th, 2023 City Council meeting. Capstone's goal is to complete the site work and be able to commence housing construction by the summer of 2024. Sketch plans, examples of local projects in the North Metro, and an overview of their company will be provided at this meeting tonight. Any information received from Capstone prior to the meeting would be forwarded to the city as soon as it's received or thereafter. Staff recommends that this is a discussion and review item, and Council or Planning Commission may wish to comment on the draft concept plan proposal presented at this meeting. This time I'll turn it over to the representative from Capstone, and they'll review their proposal with the Council and the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Jack, Mayor, Council members, Commissioners, members of the public. I appreciate the time tonight to spend some time this evening just talking through our project and what we've put together in terms of our concept. My name is Matt Barker. I work with Capstone Homes in our land development team. We've got a couple other representatives here tonight, Steve Bona from Capstone, and then also our engineer, Brian Kristofiak from Carlson McCain. Tonight, I want to take the time, as Jack mentioned, to have a discussion with you. I don't intend to fill the entire evening myself talking. I really am looking for a conversation with you all. And we're going to be presenting a lot of different things about the Viking Meadows project. I'm going to be talking a little bit about how we design and develop a plan, but also we're going to be presenting the plan to you tonight for you to see and dig into a little bit more. So I want to encourage you as I go along, feel free to stop me. I don't want to just take up the airspace tonight. I really want to talk with you, get to know you a little bit, and hear some of your feedback through the evening tonight. So without further ado, let's go to the first slide here. How many of you guys are familiar with Capstone Homes? I got one. Anybody else on the council? So Capstone Homes is, on the next slide if it goes there it goes. We're actually in our 25th year of operation here in the Twin Cities area. We are local. We're just about 20 minutes away in Ramsey. And we've been developing and managing in this region all through that 25 years. We've now somewhat expanded into 3 states. We're working in South Dakota and in Wisconsin, but most of our focus remains right here around the Twin Cities metro area. Right now, we're working on 12 different cities and different developments within a lot of those cities, so we're very busy and active in the area. What's really awesome about Capstone is we have a great team where we're able to do all things from development to home building all in-house. And you can see here, this is a good part of the team that you're seeing on the screen that are working in our office there in Ramsey. From the very beginning with the land development and acquisition to our purchasing, our design products for our homes. We have job soups that are on each one of our sites and working in the production side of things. We have a great marketing and sales team that's all in-house with us as well. And at the back end of every home purchase, obviously there's warranty and customer care. We've got that team in-house working through that as well. So it's a pretty broad team, and we're really grateful to be employing a lot of people right here in the area. And a lot of these folks live here in the area too. They're right around our company headquarters, and so it's a great group, and we're really grateful for that. I want to talk a little bit about how we design a site. So if you can go to the next slide. When we get to design or develop a community or a neighborhood, there is a lot that goes into it from our side. We take a lot of time to research our communities, to research the neighborhoods and the areas that we're building in, and we also take a lot of time to really learn and understand what it is that we're building into. What is the viewscape or the naturescape of our communities that we're looking at developing into? How do we function and flow with connectivity throughout the community? And these are all things, I don't know if any of you know Mike Gare. He is the gentleman that designed and built the Lakes of Radisson. Or didn't build, but he designed the entire Lakes of Radisson community. And it all stretches around this lake. 2,600 homes is a huge development. He came and worked with us on another project, which you see on this screen here. It's this big project right here. And this project is a great opportunity for us to understand how what I was just mentioning can all come together. In this project, this is in St. Michael, there's a lake in the middle of the development. And when Mike came to us, he really helped us capture the beauty of that lake and the nature around it to develop a community that gets to use all elements of that naturescape. We put trails, we've got walking paths, we've got great green spaces and parks that are all wrapped around in the community and also around that lake. So this example is something that really works well for us as we start thinking about any new community that we're going into. So we definitely spend a lot of time thinking about how can we take the natural features of the community and enhance them? How can we use some of the regional amenities that are in the area, like this one with the lake? How can we also just kind of create a community atmosphere to our developments? Those things all came from Mike's vision, and we've really enjoyed using that as we've designed sites. We also look at how you get into a site. What is the first thing you see or experience as you come into a new development or a new community, and how does it make you feel as a homeowner in that community? Do you feel welcome? Do you feel a sense of community? And are there things that really just draw you into that? So this park is a great example of that. You see here, this is right at the entrance of one of our communities in Riverstone. As you come into the community, you get this great view shed of a nature park. And I'm gonna talk about this a little bit more here in a minute. But you also get the view shed behind it. You get to see some natural wetland areas and some open green space. And that's just taking some of those design features and finding a way to really tie them into community. So with that, we also have to take into consideration housing products and a comp plan. What's your regional comp plan say for a community? So that's a really important part. And we also have to consider the marketplace that we're working in. So let's jump to the next slide. I want to kind of jump into your comp plan. We took some time to really study in on your comp plan, what this area looks like, and see if I can use this thing again. This little white cutout is the very unique shape of Viking Meadows. It's not just a box, so it's a little bit more unique in its design features. It does sit, I'm just gonna walk up here, it's a little bit easier for me. It does sit right along 65, as you guys are familiar with that main corridor running north-south, and then right along Viking Boulevard at the top. There's a lot of great features around this area. I know you just mentioned Coon Lake. It's a great place. I was over there fishing with my wife and my kids this weekend, and really enjoyed that amenity that's in the region as well. Right underneath our product, or right to the side, is the Elevage development where the townhomes were just approved recently. You've got Sand Hill Parkway that comes down to, I saw that Quick Trip is very rapidly coming along in the development down there. All of this area sits under your guys' mixed use comp plan guidance, which I mentioned here in this box. That's a 2.5 unit per acre density or greater. So we're kind of looking at how that works with our design. But one of the greatest things I really like about how you guys have worded this out of your comp plan, it says you are expected to be provided with the full urban infrastructure such as sidewalks, neighborhood parks, and streets that provide good access and interconnectivity. I think that that description out of your comp plan is a great reference for us as we started to dig into how we would design the site. So I want to just stop there for a second because that was kind of a lot of information, and ask if there's any questions or if you guys have any feedback before I jump into the next section.
Madam's gonna add something. Good evening, Mayor and Council and Planning Commission. I'm Steve Bona with Capstone Homes. I also want to just add on to what Matt has been saying about, the design and the team effort for a project like this. Brian Kristofiak is here from Carlson McCain, and Brian worked with Mike Gare on engineering the entire Lakes community in Blaine. And we've used Brian for a long time on multiple projects, including our one in St. Michael that we're doing, which is 1,200 homes. And that's like a massive project. It doesn't represent us very well. That doesn't happen very often. Many more sites that are 100 acres or that type of size. But we took what we've learned from Mike Gare and Brian and our entire team, and we sat down and we looked at this property, Viking Meadows, and before we did any sort of a layout, we were using all these natural amenities that Matt was referring to talk about how are we going to create something special when you drive into the site or you drive by this community. Most of our buyers are going to be families and are going to have kids, and we need a lot of walkability. We need open spaces. We need the park that we're proposing. We need the drive-in, like you're going to see. There was a lot of thought behind that on how you enter the site and how we curve the streets for character and also to slow down traffic. And so I just wanted to mention that we've taken this approach that I don't think happens all the time in land development, and we're just trying to make it. We're trying to do this very well. So. But if you have any questions or anything about that as we move on, just feel free to jump in and ask Matt as he goes. He's doing a great job here.
So maybe Steve, I can have you hand those out.
Yeah.
And throw this up here. You can go to the next slide, Aaron, if you'd like to there. Try and make that so everybody can see it, I guess. Yeah, so this is our plan for Viking Meadows, and gonna give you each copy so you got something in front of you to kind of look close at too while we're walking through it a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is that white odd-shaped project now put into the actual space that you saw there. So again, 65 on the left, on the west side of this, Viking Meadows, or Viking Boulevard, excuse me, running right across the north side. And this is sitting right on top of the existing golf course. So this is the parcels that the golf course encompasses. And we really like how the entrance currently is set up on Viking Boulevard with the golf course. So we jumped on that space up there. If you're familiar with it, there's some really beautiful trees and some growth up on that north entrance that we feel like we're going to be able to enhance with some landscaping and really create a really awesome entrance right as you come up to the development. It's gonna give you a sense of presence, an arrival at this community. On the other side of the entrance, there's a wetland complex there. So again, I was talking to you about the view shed. When you come up to it, being able to see into and through some of your view sheds and some of the different green spaces are really important for coming into a community, making you feel like it is your neighborhood, that you belong there. It's something that really carries a lot of presence to it. So you see that right at the top there on the top of the screen there. That's that entrance right off of Viking Boulevard. And as you come in, as you go past that greenscape, the enhanced landscaping at the front, you're gonna come and start into one of our two home areas. We've got what's called our Liberty Single Family Homes, which is up on the west side of the development here. And then this area here, right as you come in the entrance, is part of the classic single family home design idea. Now, I don't want you to get too confused with the road system in here. You kind of see it looks like it's stopped and kind of cut off in some areas. What I wanted to show in the concept is the main spine, the main travel through the development. So that's what you're looking at here, is where the main travel will flow as you come into the development and move through it. So there's some additional roads that we've got designed with a lot layout that fit through all this, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we dig into it a little bit more. So as you come down that main drive and you're wandering through these classic home sites, what's really exciting about this is there's almost 50 acres of open space that we're preserving in this development. Right when you get to this first tee, our proposal here is a city park, over an acre of city parkland. And as you come to a stop at that intersection, you're gonna see that community park. It is right in the center of the development. It acts like the heartbeat of this community. And beyond that city park, you see open space, you see some pond features, you see some forested area. There's forested area that's between this and the Elevage development. And then there's also an immediate trail connection right there too. I like the idea of creating this central point where a community can come together and play and interact, but also then connect with the rest of the community as a whole. And that's why this feature just works really well right in the center of the development. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that park on our next screen, just a second, don't jump there yet. Once you get through that intersection, like I said, this is your main spine, so you can continue south into our classic single family homes. And this comes down with some great features up against forest and perimeters. There's more of this wetland meadow that you see down here in the south part of the development here. And then it just stretches down into some of these other areas where we are surrounded by some forest. There's a few other homes there as well, but it comes down and just kind of comes to its finish point down in the lower part of the development. From that same intersection, you can take a right, and that takes you up into the Liberty single family home neighborhood. And there's a lot of great features up there that I want to take a few minutes to share with you here in a second as well. So let's go ahead and jump to that next slide. Let's talk a little bit more about the park. So this is a park that we've built in Ramsey, and it's called a nature play park. And we are super excited about how well used this park setup is. This sits on a little less than an acre of land. This was built by a local recreational company that helped us source timbers. This Tamarack Timbers that built this play fort, a great walking bridge to an elevated walking path. There's a sitting area for enjoying reading books or just a place for parents to sit and hang and watch their kids play. But there's a whole lot of creative play elements to it as well. And we really envision this being a great fit, this city park space that we're referring to, for a park just like this, that captures some of the view shed areas that are around it, captures the natural amenities of the space around it, and gives the community a great place to come and gather and play and enjoy time together. As you see on the plan, right out of this, we put together this trail system. And this actually is kind of fun because this touches down on some of the current golf trails or the golf cart pathways that are in the development area right now. So we're kind of meandering and catching some of that as we go through the wetland meadows. There's a stream that runs down through there, that county ditch that's in there, and it trails all the way down and connects all the way to the southern part of the development, where it then picks up the streets and the sidewalks to help people then loop back and come back through the community. So a great trail network that comes out of the heartbeat of the development in the city park there, and then circles everybody back around. So you have this great connectivity in the trail system that we've planned with the development. So I want to stop there and just give you a chance to kind of take a peek at that. Actually, forgot I got a board here to kind of show that a little bit too. Any thoughts or questions about this? I'm not sure if you guys have parks like this in the community right now. Is this something that any of you are familiar with or have any thoughts or feedback on?
With the trail system, would that connect up with the Elvage development right next door? Because they also have proposed trails that are shown to go off their property and connect up to others.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Jack had mentioned that a little bit, and I actually believe that they showed us there are some trail connections that are right over here on this area here with Elevage. You know, it's a regional, it could be an opportunity to connect and join in with that in some way. It just really depends upon the nature of how the city feels they want that connection point to work. It does provide a little bit of access to some of the commercial space that's coming for you guys as well, so that may not be a bad thing as well. It's definitely worth considering.
Yeah, I think that is within our plans to have trails connect up to each other, especially with two large developments like these.
Yeah, great, thank you. Any other questions or feedback or thoughts?
I see you're proposing to connect the development to 189th, which is a dirt road. So rural residential, 2.5+ acre lots.
Yep.
Would you guys finish that road, or would you expect the city to do that?
I think in our initial conversations, there was an intention to connect to it, but not anything improved beyond the boundaries of the project right now, because it does sit in a rural area. So that's not been proposed or considered at this time.
And then the far, I guess the southeastern section, that's currently rural residential as well, right? Are you guys proposing to get that rezoned to R1?
The section down here, the square.
Correct.
Yeah, I do know that we are gonna have to have that conversation about that, because that does just fall right outside of that current comp plan guidance. So our proposal would be a comp plan amendment to bring that in to mix the same. And we are keeping those classic single-family homes, so it is our larger product there. But yes, there would be a need to address that.
Do you have a proposed plat map as well, or is this as far as you've gotten?
Yeah, we're starting with the concept with you guys right now, and if we're looking for your feedback so we can take this and revise it if necessary. Going through the approval on the concept, and then we'll be coming back with the plat after that.
Do you have an assessment on how many vehicles? 400+ units, 400 units?
Our total count on homes is right now sitting around 350. So, and no, we've not done a traffic study at this point. That will come later as we get into the actual platting and the EAW process. Any other questions on the park? I will talk a little bit more about some of those other areas here as we get into the presentation. Any other thoughts on park, or I can move forward to the next section.
Have you accounted for parking for cars if people do drive in there to use that park?
Yeah, you know what's great? We can see it on here. We did some on-street parking with this park where you can pull in and do some on-street parking areas there, which gives people maybe a chance to drive up and get out and play with their families or such. So there is definitely the ability for us to give that some consideration.
So you're doing on-street parking?
It's a bump out on the street that just pushes out just a little bit to the side of the street, so it actually pushes off the street a little bit. It's
So
called,
there really isn't any place for, say, a group to bring all their children and the parents to be there. Like, we look out here as we came in, they had children out there playing something, probably baseball, but that filled the parking lot.
yeah, it's a very different type of facility or type of space than what we're proposing. This is,
Well, I'm talking about one down on Lexington that you can go in and there's plenty of parking and groups of people can have.
Are you talking
Yeah.
about like a birthday party or
Yeah.
family gathering?
yeah, thank you for the feedback on it. For this park, it's intended to be a great recreational park space for,
For a
The-
closed individual, for people that belong to Capstone. It's not for the general
No,
Bethel.
no, that's not. So this park is in Ramsey. I'm gonna step back just to show it. Sorry if you're not gonna be able to see. This park is in Ramsey, so it was meant, it's a city park, and it has parking, bump out parking here and all the way down the road, and it is meant for the public. This is a, Jack and Aaron might, as we get into this further, this is not an active ball field park where you would have soccer games and baseball games. It's
Or
not in,
birthday parties, or,
Yeah,
or
this is
wedding parties?
this is great for birthday parties, and that's why the city of Ramsey approved it that way. It does work really well for birthday parties. You can actually park on the sides of the road, not just where the bump out parking is. You can park on the rest of the roads too. So the idea here is that it's a smaller park that works for this area. And in Ramsey, it's worked extremely well. If you contact the city, they'll tell you about the parking and how it's very adequate.
Thank you, Steve.
So in the mixed-use area, Liberty single-family homes, are you planning commercial or anything like that, or just homes?
Just homes, so this is a Liberty single-family area. There is a section of the Viking Meadows land that we are not taking in this design, that's that north west corner, that still has developable space for commercial development. I know that they're still advertising that way. So we left that carve out on the other side of Sand Hill Parkway for that purpose. Why don't we jump into the next slide, and we'll get into a little bit more just talking about the classic home area, and just give you a chance to kind of look at where this goes from that park. Got a couple of our nice larger single family homes here to take a look at. The classic home region of the neighborhood, it does stretch along the entrance section to the north where we first started looking here, and then it does come down from the city park and goes into the whole south portion of the development. There is about 200 homes that we've been able to put into this design. And what's really exciting about this is most of these homes are backing up to some natural feature. They're either backing up to the wetland meadows or to the open space. And like I said, almost 50 acres of open space, so we've got a lot of open space to enjoy for these homeowners. And then also forested perimeters. You can see in most of the areas around here, there's a pretty solid forest block that's on almost all sides of the development area. We really like that. That really gives us the ability to get into some of the topographic design elements of the community. There are a little bit of rises and flows in the landscape out there, so all these homes are really going to have an awesome opportunity to enjoy those beautiful features. The other thing that's really important, like we talked about, is a trail mechanism to get the community connected. So as I was mentioning before, that trail stretches all the way down from the park, comes all the way down into the southern cul-de-sac here. And then it's hard to tell, but there is a sidewalk that we're proposing that then they could get on the sidewalk and come back and go through the entire neighborhood that way. So having a complete loop, but also just that interconnectedness of the neighborhood is really important in our design. So lots of places for families to walk, people to run, ride their bikes, ways for people to feel comfortable about their kids getting up to the park to play. So those elements are all built into our design and the concept we're working on here.
Yes.
Oh.
And
On the houses set back from the street, is that enough for a pickup with a hitch on it, or 2 cars before they have to be in the garage?
Yep, so we'll be working within your zoning district guidelines. We do have intentions to work through a PUD on this, but I think there'll be some crossover on that. There is gonna be room. These are set back well enough from the road for you to be able to park a vehicle, to park multiple vehicles. You can see there's 3 and even 4-car garage options that we're looking at for this. So there's a lot of driveway, a lot of space for multiple vehicles to park and to be off the street if they want it to be, so.
Okay.
With the sidewalk, is that proposed to be only on one side of the road?
Yeah, what we're looking at is just a single-sided sidewalk setup. So you'll have, one of the things Steve had mentioned is some curvature to the road and a little bit narrow road plan is what we were anticipating working with you on. And that we've talked a little bit about that with your city staff, just to see what the current setup is in your communities. So that's the intention. So you do one side and then a little bit narrow road to slow down traffic and to move it through the community a little bit smoother.
And I assume streetlights will be incorporated into this house as well?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
This will also be hooked up to city sewer and water, correct?
Yeah, we'll go on to the Liberty section here in a minute, and I'll show you where that is on Sand Hill. And yes, we intend to be fully connected to city sewer and water and our other utility contractors that are in, you know, your cable services and some of those other services that'll come with that as well.
Would that include the area on the east, or, you know, the far southeast?
This area
Where
down here.
it's rural residential, do you know if the sewer will reach there now?
Jack, I don't know if you want to speak to that. We did ask that question about if the capacity can go all the way down to that end.
There's ample capacity and line size to handle that. From an engineering standpoint, it's not an issue. There may have to be a lift station put in there at some point. I'm not sure what the depth of the connection is up at Sand Hill Parkway, but I believe it's probably around 16 to 18 feet deep. But that would be the only thing you'd maybe have to look at and consider, but capacity-wise, it's more than adequate to serve this whole area.
Thank you, Jack. I don't know, Brian, did you have anything on that you can think of from the engineering standpoint?
No, yeah, we kind of talked through that.
Yes.
Is it your intention to have a multiple different housing looks, or to make them all look pretty uniform? And
Yeah.
pretty, if you're not careful, you forget where your house is.
Yeah, great question. Great question, Glenn. No, we have an actual, a clause in our own development process that prevents us from putting the same elevation and home colors side by side. So we spread that out, and you're not gonna see the exact same home with the exact same elevation at any point in the development. Everything will, it's a redundancy clause basically to keep us from having that redundancy as you flow through the development, so. Questions from the public, is that all right too? Just give you a chance.
Are your developments governed by homeowners associations?
Great question. This one, yes, several of ours are homeowner association communities. Our goal with this is to be as far from a homeowners association as possible, but because we are doing some enhanced landscaping, and we also do have a desire to keep a little bit of architectural control as we develop the community out, we will have basically a minor HOA that'll just make sure that landscaping is kept up and irrigated and looks presentable, and taken care of through the community. There won't be like your lawn and snow services or some of those more involved aspects of an HOA though. So very low cost HOA, minimal assessment. You had your hand up there for a minute.
Before Debbie.
Yeah, sorry.
You're talking about the trails and you're gonna look at Calavage. Are these trails going to be dirt trails, or are they paved? Are they for bikes? Are they for walking only?
Yeah, I anticipate that we'll have that discussion, but I believe that we're probably aiming towards a paved trail that's gonna be actually accessible for people to actually get through on like a bike or even maybe some other handicap accessibility component. So it can be used by everybody.
If you would, and you're a member of the audience, can somebody take the microphone back there? They can't hear it on the broadcast, so anybody that doesn't have access to a microphone and wants to speak, just raise your hand.
Thanks,
Okay,
Jack.
we live on the south end of the southeast, that whole square. Yeah, yep, no, right down there. Now, how close are these houses gonna be to the property line? Cause I have 24 acres, I mean, right now I can hunt. And how close?
Yeah,
No,
this bottom corner down here is
Yeah.
one that we would work through a little bit with the city to figure out exactly how this does terminate down here at this bottom corner. But we would follow normal setback requirements as we work through that with the city on property lines.
Okay.
Your proposed road to the southeast corner there, which flows directly through the entire development,
The main spine.
you have it ending nowhere.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned earlier, we actually have cul-de-sacs and some other places where the road will extend and continue. I just didn't put that on this concept. I wanted to give you a little bit more of the broader look, but there are roads off of this. There's cul-de-sacs obviously to get us to this last little corner here, and some other little cul-de-sac areas where we extend into some of those spaces.
So you're intending on cul-de-sacing at the south end of that?
This down here,
Yes.
that's a possibility. We need to work through that with city staff to see how they want to see that terminate, or if they want to see that have an extension there.
Because everything south of there is privately
Yeah,
held.
right.
Okay.
There in the back, right behind you, Steve.
Okay, I know at another, further north on 65, what they have going on there, it became, they needed to have access roads. Do you have fire access roads planned?
Fire access roads in the development?
Yes, you
Yeah.
need an in and an out.
Yep, so there's an in and an out on Sandhill and Viking Boulevard, and then also the request for the connection down here on the south end as well.
Okay,
Yep, so there's multiple points of in and out. Why don't we jump to the next slide and I can just get us, unless there's any more questions on the classic single-family section here?
Just some feedback. I think that lower right corner is gonna be a hard sell on a lot of people in our community.
Okay.
Switching that to R1.
Okay,
So our rural residential is what's there. There's people with farm animals and like roosters, and they do hunt. So just be aware of that.
absolutely, I appreciate that
And then the
feedback.
connection to 189th, moving really high density through a rural area, it's gonna be very disruptive to many of those homeowners over there.
Okay.
And then Greenbrook, just so you're aware,
Greenbrier?
Greenbrook Drive 68. There's already high-speed people going through there very fast, and so adding that many cars to that county road would cause a lot of traffic accidents. And that's a blind corner almost. I live towards Viking, just north of there, and when I pull out in that corner there, it's about a quarter mile, and I still get people almost rear-ending me.
Okay.
So I mean, it'd be very disruptive to have that go through there, just so you know.
Yeah, no, it's a great conversation. We have talked a little bit about that with staff already, and I think that obviously, we've got some more work to do to figure out exactly how that needs to work down in that lower section. Thank you for that feedback, Joe.
and
All
I
right.
have another question. You're planning on about 400 homes?
350 is what our current.
Okay, that's, any more people have 2 cars. That's 600 cars, and we'll just say only one person works. That's 350 more cars in the morning going to work, coming home at night. And we already know that 65 in Viking is the most dangerous area in the state of Minnesota. I'm concerned about adding that many cars, traffic. I'm not talking about teenage kids driving cars. Have you thought of that?
Oh, absolutely. It is going to be something we'll study as well when we go through our EAW process. We'll be doing a traffic study to see what the impacts are in the traffic and the traffic transportation through here. One thing I do think is interesting looking out at your guys' long-term strategic plans, the Sandhill Parkway and some of the extensions of that, how that'll affect and help with some of that traffic flow are really exciting to see. Jack had shared some of that detail with us, and I think that that's going to be a part of that study and how things are looked at moving forward. Let's go to the next slide, Aaron, if we can. Let's get into that northwest section of the development, if we can. Let's see if I can set this guy up here and let him live there for a minute. So the Liberty product, this Liberty single-family home product, is a new product to the market here in the last several years. Capstone Homes has been working on building this product in Ramsey and St. Michael and Cottage Grove. We're out in Wisconsin with this product right now, and it is a great attainable product for a lot of home buyers. And when we first came and looked at this, we were looking at that Elevage development and that higher density, and recognized that the city still has a need for some product that gets people at the front end, maybe the first-time home buyer or some of the younger families looking for a home that they can get into and afford. This meets that market so well, and it's a really, really exciting and fast-moving product right now in the market. And you guys know very well, there's a lot of ups and downs in our market right now. So making sure that we create something that the market can handle, they can get their hands on, they can buy and get into, has been a real critical component of how we do things. We have less of this product than we do of the Classic, so this is 150 homes that we're proposing in this Liberty arm of the neighborhood. With this product, and it is a little bit smaller product, one of the things we really like to do is create some additional recreational space in that neighborhood, and also add a little bit more green space and buffer around them as well. So, like I said, the roads are not shown in here, but a majority of these homes are actually backing up to additional buffer, green space, landscaping, open space, and ponding, or right through here is the only place where there's a spine where they're back to back. And that's a great thing anyways, because it does continue to provide opportunities for connection between people and homes. Up here, this road will continue up and also have, this is basically the design of a cul-de-sac here as well. So there's all sorts of places where they get to take in and enjoy some of the same features of the Classic community, with the open space, with the forested areas, with some of the nature environment spaces around it. But they get something that's maybe just a little bit more affordable. The price point on these is roughly, and I know this is a hard one, but a starter home now is in the mid-3s. And we can get there, or very close to that with this product. And it's not a simple, small product. These are 3 to 5 bedrooms. They give people lots of square footage, 1,700 to 2,800 square feet, so they've got a lot of room in them. And what we intend to do in this, like I said, it's a single family community, is to put this in a space where these people have ownership of their home, they have ownership of their lot, they have the ability to use it and enjoy it as they please, and it is a great, great home for them. So this area, like I said, we have this great green space, rec space. This is where I think the HOA will impact a little bit. There'll be a big green space there that'll need to be mowed and maintained. That actually is it's over a half an acre of green space, and I'll show you a slide here. You can kind of see it behind this. This is that same size. It's kind of imposed a little bit behind the picture there, but that's the same size that we're proposing, and it's big enough for you to, it's almost a 40-yard span, so you can have some fun playing some games or interacting with the community there. So we always put those in the middle of this, and then also we're still connected through our sidewalk program, getting people back down to the city park. There is more of those of the Liberty product down here adjacent to the park too, and then also on the other side of the street there. So lots of different connection points, ways to get into the trail system, connection point back out to Sand Hill. So this is our other space or way for people to get in and out of the community as well. There's some wetlands up here that are interesting. We work around that, but we're also proposing some screening and some other landscape enhancements that'll help provide some privacy and protection from the 65 span that's out there. And that's all a part of our plan as we're continuing through the concept on this. So this is a new product. Like I said, it's probably new to all of you guys if you haven't seen it. We just are finishing up in Andover, a community of these, and it has been amazing what's happened with that. The homeowners that are in there, I work on both sides of development. I work on the front end of development, but I also get to manage our communities as they go through completion and transition to being fully homeowner controlled, and we're out of the product. I'm still there engaged with those people, and it's been a lot of fun to get to know a lot of different people, a lot of different walks of life that are really excited about the product. And so we're excited about bringing that up here. I think it's going to work really well in this East Bethel market. The one other thing that's really important about this is going back to the comp plan was the density. We're trying to meet a 2.5 unit per acre density, and in order to do that, you can't just do the large classic single family homes. That density would be much lower, especially with how much conservation space we're having to leave here, 50 acres that we're leaving set aside in the whole development. So this does help with some of that density, giving a little bit more opportunities for people, getting a little bit more of a great community neighborhood environment there on this north section. So give you a chance to ask some questions, a little bit more feedback on that product as well.
I missed the home values on Classic. Did you have a range for that?
Classic's going to be a wide variety of home values because you have every type of product from a real small two-story, maybe multi-level home that could be in the low 400s or upper 3s. But then we have a lot of premium areas in here that we can actually build a nice big premium home for somebody if they wanted multiple 3-4 car garages and So it can go up, it can get up even into the 700 or 800s if it had to.
Do any of these have basements?
So this product here is a slab on grade product. So this, the Liberty single family is all slab on grade, so no basements with those. The other classic single family, multi-levels or, you know, maybe a walkout or a lookout, there would definitely be that option. Depending upon, it is a flat site. We do have some topography we do get to enjoy, but that's the one piece we got to be a little bit careful with when we're doing our design is the balance of the site to make it work that way.
Yeah. Ma'am, did you have a question you wanted to ask back there?
I was just, okay, I'm child conscious. And in your Liberty single-family homes, the yellow up there that are aimed at new families or young families, do we want a pond where these a 3 and a 4-year-old can escape almost anything you put up? Unless you've had to look for one. But is that the place to have water ponds?
What those ponds that you see there are a requirement of the stormwater balances that we have to do in a site. So we don't have a choice. We have to put ponds in a site to handle stormwater. And I know we looked at a lot of different ways to kind of make this all work with the land up there. And we are not necessarily 100% set that this is exactly where these are going to be, but they are going to be stretched in many places throughout the neighborhood in order to handle stormwater runoff.
To handle stormwater, but you will fence them in some beautiful way.
No, we would not be fencing stormwater. They need to remain accessible. But I appreciate the concern. We deal with that in all of our communities. It is an absolutely a relevant concern. And there's some unique things that come from that. And I guess I don't really have a solid answer I can give you on that, but it's just what we have to work with in terms of design and what the state requirements are for some of those features. So
I mean, I have to accept the state.
hand the microphone back there.
No, I can use my outside voice. Trust me. It looks to me like these are slab-on-grade homes.
Yes, sir.
You put the in-floor heat in them then?
In-floor heat. So design in these does not have an in-floor heat. You're asking me, I'm land to stretch into my building guys a little bit, but no, I don't believe it's in-floor. I believe this system is just a general HVAC vented system.
Okay, so how do you handle storm shelters?
It's a great question. I think, Steve, do you want to jump in on that one just a little bit, or? Sure.
We've had questions come up about storm shelters before, many times with the townhomes that we build. And if you think about townhomes being built in Minnesota, they're all slab on grade. You know, every townhome that we build is slab on grade. So this product is really no different than that. And the buyers, so there's a couple different solutions to that. There are aftermarket storm shelters that people can purchase, and they're either paying for it in the house or they're paying for it after they buy a house anyway. And if they have the opportunity to buy it after they're already in the house, it's much cheaper too. So that is available for them. But I would just say that, you know, when we're building, this is no different than building many different types of residential apartments or townhomes. They don't have them. They're slab on grade as well.
I understand that. I just built a new lake home the last couple of years, slab on grade. My advice as someone who has been a contractor is for saleability. That in-floor heat's the greatest thing I ever put in for my old legs.
Absolutely, yeah.
My storm shelter is foam insulation, spray foam.
Oh, okay.
So the house is like built out of concrete.
Yeah, that sounds very nice, for sure.
But so what you're saying is that you do not have community storm shelters?
No, well, the state building code does not, there's no restrictions about that, about storm shelters. And, It's not even commonplace in Minnesota for slab on, there's, slab on grades probably make up
I don't even
almost
think it's-
half.
I don't think it's slab on grade, it's more, I know they do requirement in mobile home communities, I believe.
I'm not sure, but.
I don't know, yeah, I may be wrong too.
So there are options for buyers. The buyers do not, in our experience, the buyers are not asking for this. So when they buy the homes, they are not asking for it. If they were asking for it, then we would probably, we'd be more proactive about offering them ourselves, but they're not asking for that at this time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, great question.
So I assume you've done soil borings out here to see where the water table sits?
Yeah, yep, that was the underlying of the design that we're in now. We did a couple of different rounds of different soil analysis. I know, Brian, I don't know if you want to speak into a little bit of this. Can I throw you on the spot and just share a little bit of what you've been working on?
Yeah, these areas that are kind of lower, the topsoil can get kind of deep, so we did a round of, we do basically soil probes, so we can go through the site. We do like a 200-foot grid throughout the site. So we can tell, where the real deep areas are and where it's kind of cost prohibitive to go into some of those areas. And so that's kind of how we came about with our buildable, site area there and, able to preserve, typically some of those deeper topsoil areas end up being, a lot of wetland areas as well, and then, some of the adjacent green spaces. So that's kind of how we came up with our kind of a buildable area out there and the areas, that we chose, that made the most sense to develop, I guess. So, and then we did go back and follow up with deeper borings, just to test, but it's mostly sand out here and then whatever topsoil is on top. So we've done a pretty extensive survey of that already.
Will you be using existing soils, or will you have to be bringing fill in for home sites?
Well, the plan would be to try and balance it on site. Yeah, it gets very expensive to haul dirt in and out, so yeah.
Yeah, I think they're, back and forth one more. I think one of the things that we did a lot of analysis. So this pond here is going to be an area where it'll help balance out our site. So that was one of the areas that we focused on, is trying to figure out where there's some usable sand in the development, where some of that flow is. So that's some of this that you're seeing here is also to help bring balance to the site so we can develop the whole area.
How deep are those ponds gonna be? Pretty deep, or surface ponds?
Well, the water quality ponds, typically you would max out at, 8 to 10 feet. Some of like the one maybe behind, in the southwest corner there, that might be a little deeper, 15 feet or so or whatever, just to get the material out of it. The water quality ponds are restricted in depth. When you're treating the water, if they get too deep, they start to turn over and resuspend, the pollutants in there and stuff. So that's why those depths are kind of restricted on those water quality ponds.
Question in the back there.
Yep. How, and I guess you're the one to answer this question, as we bring in 350 houses using water, how is that going to affect the water table for those in the southeast corner and those right across, anything east of 65?
Thank you. Yeah, so like we said, there's a county ditch that kind of runs through the site. And that's really what controls the water elevation out here for the, there's a natural water table, and then that is at a particular elevation, and there's an outlet pipe that's not getting changed, so that level will remain the same, and we'll just be tying in. The water will flow from our site off of the roads, get treated in the ponds, and then discharge at that same elevation. So we're not digging down or lowering any pipes that would lower that water table.
East, that's not going to affect our water table,
No.
or the people that are down here off of 65?
And they're gonna be supplied by the city water and sewer. They're gonna be serviced by city water, so it's not pumping, out of the ground directly right below them,
We do not not have city water.
No, but this will. So it's, at least they're not,
It's not going to affect our,
well, I'm not a hydrologist, I don't know, but.
Jack,
Correct,
isn't
yeah.
the city water supply in a different aquifer from residential supplies?
It probably is, and the city water supply is located approximately a mile west of here. It's supplied by 2 wells, so this should have no effect on that southeast corner for private wells. It'll be all municipal water pumped to a storage tank and then gravity flowed back to the individual users.
and then is their water, the other places that are further north on 65 that went in, they have a lot of trouble with their water.
Who are you, who are you referring to? I'm not familiar with it.
East Bethel, Facebook page, and you hear them always talking about how dirty their water is.
Yeah, being as we are connected to the city water, we have no effect on the regional area other than just drawing the existing water, which is already in the system right now. So I think from that standpoint, there's no increased concern with the development on private water use out here, correct?
Correct.
So looking at this, almost all these are runoff ponds except the one in the lower left corner. Would that be a
Yeah.
nature pond?
Is that one big one on the bottom, this doesn't tie into that storm water at all, correct?
Correct, yeah, I think our intent was that is that's just gonna be, that will not be a water quality pond. It's on the opposite side of the ditch, so we have no way to get stormwater to it, I guess, from the development we're showing here.
And then the lower two on the lower right, will those be runoff ponds?
Down in the southeast corner?
Correct.
I think for sure the westerly west one, I'm not sure about we just haven't got that far in the design yet, but potentially that could be a water quality pond as well on the far east property line.
So on your soil borings and your testing, did you find any contaminated soil with mercury in it?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yep, on the greens of the golf course, that's been made public that there is mercury on the greens. And we have a plan already in place with our engineers to remove that contaminated soil from the site completely.
Okay, so it's all tested and everything will be fine.
Yep, it'll be removed and tested and cleaned.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So as a little bit of a benefit to the development is removing that from this, it goes to a waste facility and it's off the site.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? An hour discussion doesn't, I feel like we need to go another hour or two, but I don't want to do that if you don't need to, so we're ready for anything else. There's a couple slides at the back end of this. Maybe Aaron, if you want to go to that last slide, I can just kind of show you a few more things, just stuff that we've talked about today. Again, this is a green space in one of our neighborhoods, obviously in development, that's pretty well wrapped up. This is kind of it's gonna go a little quick, sorry, you can bounce back to it. This is the idea that we have for our Liberty community, that recreational green space area. So fits really nicely into the community, gets a great central location, sidewalk and trail connection goes through it. Some pictures of some of our other developments. These are similar in size and nature to our classic homes. This is right as we're getting started on a development in Otsego. You've seen that one a little bit too, the playground structure. All these I'm going to give you in the PDF for you guys to kind of look at and have additional review of as you go through your packets and prepare for the public hearing next week. Again, that just kind of broader view of that playground and how it works. I love that you can see trails in the background, sidewalks, trails all over the place, and it's just great connection in that community up there. And then I think the rest are just going to show you some of these same prints of some of the homes that we've got on the boards already.
So I think the biggest concern from a lot of people is the traffic, and could you just tell us how you address that at other developments and how it's worked out?
Yeah, the traffic study is the key for that. That helps give us the guidance or the guidelines for what would need to happen in a community to improve or change any negative impact that traffic has. That traffic study is looking at state standards. So we're setting our systems up to follow a state standard on how our community is developed and then what impacts it has on the areas around it. So that traffic study is going to be key. That'll be a part of the EAW process that we'll be rolling through here very quickly, and that'll help guide how that traffic will work and how it influences the community.
Matt, when you say EAW, you want to kind of define that, so non-acronym version for.
Sorry, yeah, thank you. And it's an environmental worksheet. So the environmental worksheet process puts together environmental components. It puts together the traffic study. It looks at all different elements of the site and its impact on the site as well as the region around the site. That whole study then gets submitted and goes through the state's process of reviewing it and reviewing all the impacts. There's opportunities for input back from the state agencies. It does also look at your concern with water qualities. It looks at some of the different impacts on the different water quality areas around here. So all of those different things get reviewed under that environmental worksheet. Once it goes out, it also goes public and gives opportunity for public to put their input back into it. And then there comes back an opportunity for a decision to be made, whether or not to improve what's been communicated in that worksheet and what's been dealt with through its process. So I don't know, Steve, does that kind of outline that well? Have you got any other thoughts on that? Okay.
No.
So in 25 years, what have been the biggest lessons learned, you know, as for starting up a development with objections and then how they may have been overcome or didn't?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest lessons that we've learned is the value of getting to know the community, the value of getting to know the homeowners and the community that's around this development. Our goal is always to come into a city and not be this force that creates unwanted change, but to come in and work with the city and the community to create a neighborhood and a community that brings value and positive impact to the community. And we're really grateful for that. Our company runs on humility, we run on integrity and excellence. And so that drives that underlyment. So we've had some mistakes where we didn't listen and we didn't hear some of those opportunities. And I think that's an area that we've really grown a lot in that regards, is to listen, to develop trust. We want to be a company that people can trust and see as being trustworthy and to develop a real strong relationship that fosters those qualities. So that's the personal side of it. We've gone through a lot of different developments over the years, and we've learned a lot of different things about the market, what products work and don't work, and we've had some struggles in some areas with certain products, and so we focus really hard on making sure that the products we bring into a community and into a market are going to work. So there's been some great lessons that we've learned in that regard as well.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Any other thoughts?
The only other thing that I wanted to mention, Matt, is if you do have any other feedback for us, even if it's not tonight, all the feedback really helps, because that'll make it more concise as we move forward to the next steps. So please let us know. That's what we're here for.
Well, with that, thank you, Mayor, thank you, council members, thank you, commissioners, and thank you, public, for being here. This is great. I appreciate the questions and digging in. This is what we wanted, is to hear from you all and get a chance to listen and share. So I look forward to being back in front of the commissioners on is it Tuesday next week that we're meeting there again, and I'm available to continue to share or bring anything more to the table for that discussion when we get there. And thank you. We'll take a lot of the feedback that you've given us and make sure that we're considering as we continue to get closer to taking this concept forward as a plat and moving it into the development phases ahead.
So I got a couple more questions. When do you propose to have a preliminary plat with streets and lots ready?
As soon as we get approval from the governing bodies on this concept and what we've presented, I believe July 11th is our final meeting with you on that regards. I already told Brian, be ready on July 12th to get started. So because our goal is to be breaking ground on this first of next year, it tightens the time frame up to run that all the way through. I know Brian would like to have a couple of months to put that preliminary plat together and really get the design nailed down. So I believe we're probably gonna be looking at the next 2 to 3 months, where we'll be
Okay.
really putting that tight and getting that together for you.
Okay, are you looking to do this all at once, or are you looking to have phases?
Definitely phases. Our anticipation, it'll be 5 to 6 phases of development. What's great about the 2 different products is that gives us the ability to do a little bit more in each phase than we would normally do. So we can do both the smaller and the larger products at the same time, and it opens us up to be able to move a little bit more through. With 350 homes, you know, if we did this in 6 to 7 years, that would be great. If we did it a little bit sooner, it just really depends upon how the market allows. But this first phase is gonna be focused around the park area and around that section of homes, and then we'll be moving out basically from that as we go through the development.
Are you looking to have a ghost plat approved for the entire development, or?
The preliminary plat will be for the entire development, so you'll see the entire development laid out in its full, and then we'll be just doing phases of that plat as we go through. So you will see the entire development complete in this first go.
Okay, but your intention is to have the entire plat approved?
Yes.
With call it a ghost plat, and then to have additional stages approved based upon those?
Yeah, our goal is to have the entire preliminary plat approved here this fall, and then we'll put forward our first final plat with the city probably first of next year, right as we're getting ready to move into the development.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Brian.
Anything else from the audience out there? Thanks for your interaction.
Yeah, this is great.
It was helpful, including you, ma'am. I see you back there smiling at me. That's what we needed. Thank you.
That was very interesting to be handed to mine. My voice usually carries the
Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Well, I do have a question for Jack before we go on. How difficult is it gonna be to do a comp plan change for that southeast corner then?
The Met Council would have to be on board with that.
Right.
It would take a little bit of work. It's more the mechanics and going through the steps of it. It could be done, because you could make justification, it ties into the other part of the development. And, it'd be a process that would probably take maybe 2 or 3 months to get completed though.
I mean, I'm wondering if there might be a plan B for, if we can't get that through. for them to
Well,
go
you know, to me, the plan B what would be, and again, I can't speak for Capstone, but you know, you could look at it in development, maybe at a little lower density, so
Right.
that would be another consideration.
Okay. Okay, do we need a motion to adjourn? Can I have a motion? to
Normally.
adjourn the plan?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to adjourn city council meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Our motion, our meeting's adjourned.
Did you say you had PDFs to leave with us? Did you have something to leave with us?
I can distribute them as well. I have,
Okay.
I just got one tonight, so I can send that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I thought this was gonna be a long one.
I did too.
Thank you.